Alright, welcome back everyone. Today we're going to be talking about sidestepping and how to implement it into your game, right? So on the Tekken Reddit, I think right when this game released, maybe a week or two after, somebody had posted up a sidestep list, right, for all the characters in the game and what direction you're supposed to sidestep in. So here we have Brian versus Brian, and if you saw that guide or whatever, you know that against Brian, you want to sidestep to your right, which is if you're on one player side, you step into the foreground. If you're on two player side, you step into the background, right? Because you want to sidestep to your right, not the opponent's right. So here, and then if you're on two player side, you sidestep up. So anyways, the question is, how do you actually apply this, right? So let's say, for example, in the last episode we were talking about fuzzy guarding, right? So Brian's gonna do 1 2 1, 1 2 4, 1 2 3, but somehow, because you've been practicing this, you're able to beat all of those options, which means Brian, if the opponent Brian is smart, he's not going to be doing that anymore. He's going to start mixing it up, right? He's going to be like, wait a second. So if I do 1 2, he's instantly going to do something to beat all of my options. So what do I do there? Maybe he's going to do something like 1 2, 1 2, down forward 2, because down forward 2 is safe, right? Or maybe he'll just do 1 2 1 1 1 1 2 1 1 1 1 2. You know, a lot of players lose to stuff like that. They're like, how do I beat spammers, right? And you can use ducking to do it because jabs are high, right? So if you down one it, it's gonna lose. If you just duck and then launch him, you might get lucky and hit him before the next jab comes out or whatever. So that's an option. You can duck it, obviously, right? But you can also sidestep. So I didn't record this option, so let me just record Brian doing 1 2 1 1 1 1. And let me turn this other one off. All right, so I said that against Brian you want to sidestep right. Okay, so he's gonna do it. I'm gonna block it. I'm just gonna sit here and I'm not pressing anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm just blocking. He's +1, right? So if you know anything about frame data, you know that if you press a button here, standing, if you try to jab or do anything, you're gonna get counter hit. And just to prove it to you, that was weird. Maybe I delayed that, but that shouldn't happen. Right? I'm getting counter hit every single time I press jab. And you don't want that to happen, because what will end up happening if you're doing this against a specific character, they might have a counter hit combo that if the first hit lands counter hit, the rest of the hits are guaranteed, and you don't know what that's going to lead to. Right? You don't know if that's going to lead to a juggle starter. You don't know if that's going to lead to a launcher or what. So don't get counter hit. So how do you deal with this? Like I said, you could do this, right? Just down one. You could also do a low crushing move, which down one is inherently a low crushing move. All down ones have, not low crushing, high crushing, excuse me. All down ones are high crushes, so that's why it works, right? Or I could do something like down back 4, that beats it, right? Or I could do something like let me try that again, because this should work. Down back 3, which also high crushes, but that's like whack damage, right? It's like 11 damage. Like, you don't want, if this guy's gonna keep doing this, and you know he's going to keep doing this, you want to like really, what's the word I'm looking for here? Fuck him up for it, right? So I'm going to block it. And now I sidestep. And there's a huge window of time where this guy's just whiffing jabs, right? And I can sidewalk that too. Look, let me try that again. Alright, I'm just sidestepping and he can't hit me. So that's how that's another way to beat it, right? You could down one, you could do this, you could do this, but that's like, if you know they're gonna do it, you don't need to do that. Just sidestep it. And then you launch his ass for it, right? If they whiff something stupid like an electric, or they whiff something else like a down forward 2 or whatever, you launch them. Now the question becomes, there's homing moves in this game and there are moves that track, right? So how do you beat those? And the answer lies in the heart of battle or some shit. I don't know. Let me see. What is this? What is this? What did I record here? Down 4-2. So this was the sequence that I said earlier, right? Maybe he's going to keep jabbing if he's an idiot and he's just like, or maybe he's not necessarily an idiot. He's just trying to be annoying, or he's trolling or whatever, or she's trolling, right? Because girls play video games too. They're going to just keep jabbing you, right? They're going to see, does this guy know that down 1 beats this, or is he just stupid and doesn't understand anything? But because you're smart and you know how Tekken works, you know that down 1 will beat it, right? So now this guy's like, all right, well, he down 1'd me every time, so now what do I do? And the answer is, he's probably going to do something like this. 1, 2, and then you're going to try to down 1, and it does beat it, right? If I mash it, I think it will beat it. Yeah, it will beat it. He'll get counter hit, right? But let's say you're not mashing, because you're scared of one of the strings that he's going to do or something. 1, 2, 1, or 1, 2, 3, or whatever. So you kind of delay a little bit. You hesitate, or maybe there's some online lag or something. So instead what happens is they do 1, 2, down 4, 2, 3, or down 4, 2, 1, I'm sorry. And you get counter hit. Now you're like, well, what do I do about that? The answer remains the same. Sidestep right. Right? And then you do the same thing. You launch him for it. Now, this is a very, very, very important point that I want to make. Because this was something that when I learned about it, I was like, holy shit, that changes everything. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that don't know this exists. But okay, if you're coming from a game like Street Fighter, everybody knows that if you're minus, that means that you shouldn't press a button or you shouldn't do anything except for block. And if you're plus, then you can go ahead and start creating your offense, right? So even if you're +1, you can press a button and it will most likely counter hit your opponent, provided that your move is faster than their move, right? Or it even if they have the same number of frames, your move will beat the opponent's move if it's a stronger variety, right? A fierce will beat a medium punch, and a medium punch will beat a jab, and so on and so forth. But in Tekken, it's not like that. So even though my opponent may have plus frames, it doesn't mean that I have to just sit there and block. I can still move. I can't press a button, depending on how plus they are, right? If they're like, I don't know, +1, and they do a Jet Upper, and I jab them, it will beat the Jet Upper, because Jet Upper is 14 frames, and my jab is 10 frames. So there's a 3-frame gap there, right? But if my opponent is +4, you might think, man, I just got to block, right? But the answer is no, you don't. You don't have to do anything. You can actually just sidestep and then launch him anyways. So I'm going to get hit if he's going to do the move first. Right? And I'm still sidestepping it. And the frame data app is telling us he's +5, and I'm still able to do this. If I get hit, I can't press a button, though. Like, even down 1 will lose. Right? But I can still sidestep it. This is why when we watch players like Saint and JDCR and Knee and all these guys play, even though they might hit you, or they might hit their opponent, or they do something like this, right? This is a move that Brian's like doing because it's +3 on block, depending on the range, if I'm not mistaken. If he hits it deep, then it's like +3. If he hits it a little bit ranged, it can be up to +5 on block, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong about that, though. I'm pretty sure I'm not. But anyways, that's besides the point. Right? This is a move that Brian's will spam, and if you press a button, they're going to do down 4-2, and it's going to counter hit you, and then they get down 4-2-3, and then that knocks down. Right? And if you press a button after the down 4-2, and let's say you block the down 4-2, and you press a button after the down 4-2, so you press a button before the 3 comes out, you get counter hit by that. It's the same as getting counter hit by this, which leads to a juggle start. You don't want to get hit by that. So even though my opponent has plus frames, if I sidestep it, he's going to whiff, right? So this is why players like Saint and JDCR and all these high-level Korean and Japanese players and even American players, what you'll see them do instead is this. Right? Even if I'm trying to sidestep, he's dashing into my face. So it's always going to realign. And if I try to press a button, that's super scary because I don't know what my opponent is going to do. If I press a button at the wrong time, they block it. Let's say, for example, I'm playing against the Brian, right? And he hits me with 1-2, I sidestep right, and he starts dashing in my face. What happens if I press jab at the wrong time and he hits me with forward 3? Let's see what happens when forward 3 hits counter hit. That's not the right combo. It should be like 63 damage or something if I would have got the last hit. All because I was impatient and wanted to press a button to get my opponent off of me, right? But I pressed the button at the wrong time and now I got counter hit. That's why you see them dashing in each other's face, because they both understand the situation. The player that is at plus frames knows that the opponent can still sidestep, and they will sidestep. And they know that if they have plus frames and they press a button to try and capitalize on those plus frames, there's a chance that they're going to whiff a move, and that means that if they're playing against a good player, let's say they're playing against a good Kazuya or a good Heihachi, like JDCR or something like that, they're going to get electric, or they're going to get hop kicked, or they're going to get down forward 2'd, or they're going to eat something, right? And you don't want to deal with that, so that's why they sidestep in each other's face like that. A lot of people think it has to do with like disrespect, but it's not really disrespect. It's more of like actually showing both players respect, or showing the other player respect, and because he knows, like, this guy knows the situation, so I shouldn't do anything to try and capitalize on these plus frames, because if he sidesteps and I whiff a button, I'm going to eat like 60, 70, 80 damage, and I don't want to deal with that, right? Because one combo in this game leads to a lot of damage, and a lot of damage is not a good thing to be eating, because if it's late in the round, how many times did we see rounds go to like 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, right? The last thing you want is to either get timed out because you whiffed a button at the end and you got hit by a combo, or you don't want to get hit by a combo that ends up leading to like, I don't know, 110 damage. You know, Heihachi has some shit like that out of his rage drive. You don't want to deal with that. So don't whiff buttons. And that's why you see these players dashing in each other's face. Now, anyways, that's kind of like a tangent, right? You might be asking yourself, all right, back to the sidestepping stuff. So we know that was, but Brian has homing moves, right? He's got stuff like, in the last episode, or in the first episode, this move, right? 1+2 is homing. So even if I try to sidestep, I'm going to get hit by it. So how do you deal with that? The answer is you sidestep and you block. If I can get the timing right. Right, you sidestep and then instantly block. And that's to avoid any situation where you feel like your opponent is going to do a homing move. There's no reason why Brian would do that, though, if you're not sidestepping. Because why would he do that when he can just keep pressuring you with 1-2, down forward 2-1 or something like that, right? If you start sidestepping and showing your opponent, hey, I'm always going to dodge this sequence of events, that's when they're forced to start using things like homing moves. And for the moment they use that homing move, you're ready to sidestep block it. Because even if... Is this still recorded properly, or did I fuck this up? All right, it's still right. So even if I sidestep, I'm still going to avoid the first hit, and then I block, I'm still going to avoid the first hit. And sometimes you'll still avoid the second hit too, so it depends on the character and what string they're using or whatever. So they could use a homing move to track you, or they could do other stuff like, what is this string? All right, so if I jab here, I'm going to get counter hit, right? Launched. But if I sidestep, I don't got to deal with that. So, okay, sidestep right beats that. What about this? That's a sequence that Brian's like to do all day on you, right? How do you beat that? Okay, so I sidestep and I block, but it's a low, so how do I deal with that? Well, so in the previous episodes, the first episode we talked about punishing, right? Block punishing. So that applies to sidestep guard, right? So if I sidestep and I block the homing move or the move that tracks or whatever, I punish it if it's punishable. And if it's a low, then I sidestep duck, which is the exact concept that we talked about in the second and third video, right? Fuzzy guarding and ducking or whatever. So now you start applying those other basic concepts and you build on them with sidestepping. So now we're going to have Brian do 1-2 low soccer kick, and then I block it, and then that happens. Obviously I have counter hit turned on, so let me turn that off. do the stupid thing. Even though he has plus frames. He just ate 40 damage for that, right? Because he wanted to press a button and I was ready for it. Okay, what happens if they do another something else, right? This is another thing Brian's do. They do 1, 2. I'm gonna get hit. I fucked up the punish. Okay, so in that situation, he did down forward 1, right? Now what you have to understand is that all of these moves that Brian is doing, because I'm sidestepping, they all carry some risk, right? So initially, we had Brian do it. Down forward 2-1. Down forward 2-1 is -4 on block. Can't punish it. So this way, if I'm just standing here blocking, this sequence carries 0 risk for Brian. He can do this, and after I block the down forward 2-1, he can decide what he wants to do. Is he going to backdash, sidestep, keep pressing the buttons, duck? You don't know what the hell he's going to do, right? But now all of a sudden, he does that sequence, and then I sidestep. Right? Now he's got to think. There's risk there. He's whiffing 2 moves, all because I'm sidestepping and ducking. And even if I get hit, same thing happens. Right? Let me do this again with both hands. That's 64 damage, all because they wanted to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, right? So that carries risk. What are the other moves that he has? That sequence is launch punishable. Obviously, if he just does 1+2, it's not, but... Right, that's safe on block, I think. Yeah, -7. So that's safe on block. Okay, but it leaves him -7. Would you rather have your opponent be -7 or -4 against you? I think -7 is better, right? And if they get greedy and they go for that extra hit, you launch punish them. I don't know if what was that on block? Was it -15 or 14? Let me see. Whoops. It's -14. All right, so some characters aren't going to be able to launch him for it, but in this case, Brian can. So where was I? Yeah. So anyways, like I said, 1+2 is safer, but I think, let me see something here. Let me see something. If you get hit and he does 1+2, you can counter hit him if you jab, right? 1+2 is 15 frame startup if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check that. 17 frame startup. Okay, even worse. Right? Counter hit, jab. So if you want to get crazy and you know he's going to do that sequence, 1+, or 1-2, 1+2, just jab him out of that 1+2. But regardless, let's say you block it, right? He's -7. If he goes for the follow-up, you launch him if you play Brian, or you do whatever your punish is for your character. And that's free damage, right? If he does that, he gets a little parried, and he takes 40 damage, 41 damage if you do the right combo. If you play Kazuya, you just block it and you launch punish him, and I don't know how much damage Kazuya gets off of Twin Pistons. If you play Josie, it's the same situation. So now you've dealt with that situation. You've dealt with that sequence of events. So now Brian can't use 1-2-1, 1-2-4, 1-2-3. He can't use 1-2 down forward or 1-2 down forward 2-1. He can't use 1-2-1 down forward 1-1-1-1-2. He can't use 1-2 low soccer kick. He can't use 1-2 jet upper. What else can't he use? He could probably use something like that, right? Because if you, let's say for example, he starts doing 1-2 down forward 1, right? Down forward 1 doesn't track if you sidestep to the left side, but that's where the mind games begin to like take place, Because if you start sidestepping to the right, then the Brian's going to say, all right, this guy's sidestepping right. I'm going to start using down forward 1, and it's going to catch him when he sidesteps. Now all of a sudden you don't sidestep right, you sidestep left because you know he's going to do down forward 1, and now the down forward 1, the machine gun punch thing whiffs, and then you launch him for that, and now he's like, all right, now I'm going to start doing things that track to the left side, right? And then he does something that tracks to the left side, and for the moment he does that, you're ready for that too. So this is where the mind games really start, because is my opponent going to sidestep? Are they just going to block? Are they going to sidestep duck? Are they going to sidestep guard? What are they going to do? Do they know how to duck this string? That's where the mind games really start to take place. And that's why whiffing buttons is, or just going all crazy. Like a lot of people say, oh, how do you beat this? You know, he's just doing this over and over and over and over and over again. How do I beat this? How do I beat him? How do I beat him? The way you beat him is you go into training mode, you see what moves your opponent is hitting you with, and you think, okay, if I get hit by this move, what can my opponent do right after, and what can I do to beat that, right? So I would suggest starting out with every character's punishes, right? So in the first episode, we talked about Brian's punishes. 10 frame punish, 1-4, right? So let's say instead of 1-2, Brian does 1-4 and then down 4-2-1. Right? So let's say that scenario happens, and I get hit by the 1-4 because he punished my full crouch down forward 1, right? I did this into this, trying to set up a counter hit, and then I ended up getting hit myself, right? Or he blocked it and then I got punished. And then he does down forward 2-1. What do I do about that situation? Does my strategy still work? Yep. I didn't get the punish there because I didn't do it fast enough, but it works. Do the stupid move. Right? It still works. So if he does down forward 2-1, which is his 13 frame punish, strat still works, right? If he does, we talked about this, right? So low soccer kick is +4 on hit, which means down forward 2-1 is guaranteed to hit you if you press a button. You can block it, but it's safe. So now let's see what happens if I sidestep. It whiffs. Now you don't have to deal with that situation anymore, right? And anything else that Brian does, for the most part, is going to carry some risk. That move in particular, down forward 2-1, is going to carry risk. Another low soccer kick is going to carry risk. If he does down forward 1, it's going to carry risk. If he does mid soccer kick, it's going to carry a risk. This is where you make your opponent start questioning what their offensive tools are going to be, because unless you're playing against like an idiot or whatever, they're just going to keep doing the same things over and over and over again. And if they're doing the same thing over and over and over again, you just keep beating them over and over and over again. But this is where you actually start, even though you're on the defense, it's like taking offensive action, right? Because you're putting these thoughts into your opponent's head and you're mixing your opponent up, which is pretty cool. And that's the thing that I think is the most interesting about Tekken, because in other games you don't really have this, especially in like 2D fighting games. You don't really have these situations. If your mind is on block, that means you just block, right? You just keep blocking until your opponent does something safe or until your opponent backs off, and now all of a sudden, now you can start, thinking about how you're going to approach or whatever. But in Tekken, even though you get hit and you're at minus frames, you can still do stuff. Obviously, the more plus frames your opponent has, the harder it is for you to do things like sidestep. But it's up to you to figure out what that threshold is and what sequence of events occur frequently when you're playing against people, and that way you can figure out how to beat those things. So now we've talked about blocking, ducking, strings, right? Fuzzy guarding to beat mix-ups in certain strings or can strings or whatever. We've talked about sidestepping and how that's useful. And then we've tied all of those 4 concepts together, right? With sidestepping, or we've tied the first 3 concepts with sidestepping, and now we've gotten a whole web of strategies, right? So first we had blocking, and then we tied that with sidestep blocking. Then we had ducking, and we tied that in with sidestep ducking. And then fuzzy guarding also works the same, right? It's the same idea. So I'm going to show you guys another quick concept, or just expand on this a little bit, even though this video is kind of running a little long. Let me go to another character, and I'll be right back. All right, so we're back here. We've got Brian, and we've got everyone's favorite top tier character, Dragunov, right? Everyone's like, Dragunov's broken. How do I deal with him? I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know the answers to deal with Dragunov because I think the character is super good. Running 2 is super good. Down 2 is super good. Up forward 4 is super good. His wall carry's crazy. Like, he's a really good character. But a lot of people say he's good because they see JDCR playing Dragunov. And JDCR can be playing any character and he'll make that character look good, right? Because we see Nobi playing Dragunov, and Nobi's a great player, don't get me wrong, but the difference between Nobi's Dragunov and JDCR's Dragunov is pretty fucking obvious, right? So, a lot of low-level Dragunovs think, oh, I just do running 2 and down 2 all day, right? Now, we're going to take a look at this sequence, and we're going to see what happens, right? So, obviously, everyone knows what running 2 looks like. It's everyone's favorite move. I've recorded Dragunov doing that into down 2, right? Everyone's favorite, right? Let me change this to short so that way there's less delay. Everyone's favorite, running 2 into down 2 all day. How do you deal with this, right? Obviously, if you know they're gonna do it, you just duck and punish, right? But there's some other stuff that Dragunov can do. Dragunov's running 2 is +5 on block. That's pretty plus for blocking a move. That's why it's super good. And if he does down 2 and you press a button, it high crushes, which is great. And if you press like a mid or something, you go through that sequence, right? That counter hit, stun animation, and then he gets like a while standing 4 or a back 1+2 or something like that, and it's a nightmare to deal with. But the good news is that even if he does this, if I time it right, I said if I time it right, I can still sidestep and block it, right? So that means, let me not fuck that one up. Let me do this one. Let's just say Dragunov decides to do 1-2 after. Let me turn this one off. Alright, maybe that doesn't work. Maybe in that situation, backdash duck, right? That's the thing about this. Not every situation has one answer. Or one answer isn't going to solve every problem you have. You've got to mix it up and go into training mode and figure this stuff out for yourself. But I'm pretty sure that this works. Right? 1+2 is also plus on block. +6. It's worse for you if you're on the receiving end than running 2, right? It's +6 on block and it's a mid. And if you get counter hit by it, it's too close. I didn't record it fast enough, but what the fuck are you doing, man? Come on. Let me do something slower. Let me do just Jet Upper. I said let me do just Jet Upper, right? That works? I guess that's super slow, right? Okay, well let me just walk into it. It gets a wall, he hits you onto the ground and he gets a free stomp, I think. If not more. But anyways, let's say that situation happens, right? And we just saw that if I sidestep after the running 2 and I duck, I beat the down 2. And also we saw that if I sidestep duck after he does running 2 and he decides to do back 1+2, it whiffs and then I punish him. Right? So this is the kind of stuff that bad Dragunovs will do, and they think that they're playing Dragunov. And the answer is you're not playing Dragunov. You're just doing the same shit because you think that's how it works, or you think that's how you need to play the character, but you don't understand how to actually play the character or how to play the game really. And that's not like to be disrespectful or anything. That's just, you know, it's being honest. Like, the character isn't good because the character is good. The character is good, definitely, but the person playing the character is more important than the character itself, because you've got to think about these characters like a tool set. It's just a group of tools that are available to you, and it's up to the pilot to utilize those tools in a manner that yields results. right? JDCR knows how to pilot this character. JDCR knows how to pilot Heihachi. If I play Dragunov, or I play Heihachi, or I play Jack, I'm going to get my ass kicked because I suck at this game, right? I'm garbage at this game, and I'm the first one to admit it. But I'm not going to sit here and say, like, Jack is super overpowered. He's always in top 8. It's like, dude, you don't even know what you're talking about. So just shut up and learn how to play the game and watch from these better players and try to learn something from them. Once you're at their level, then you can start saying these things. So when JDCR, I think when Tekken 7 like first came out, he used to say like Leo was a stupid character, right? If he wants to say that about the character, that's fine because he's a great player. However, there's probably an argument there to be said that he probably just didn't understand the character at the time, and maybe if you ask him now, he's probably not going to think that Leo's that stupid. But I don't know. That's besides the point. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that even though everyone's favorite move, running 2 from Dragunov, seems like it's super oppressive, and it is, there's still a way to beat it. Now, I still don't know how to beat this sequence. I guess sidestep guard, right? Because if you duck, you get hit by that. And then he gets, what is it, down 4, 1, 2, or down 4, 1, 3? I don't remember what the string is. For free. It's only like 40 damage, but it's still damage nonetheless, right? That move crushes lows, so if you try to hit him with a low, he's going to jump over it. And yeah, that's not a good thing, right? So maybe, let's see something. Ah, there's your answer. Look at that. Remember what I said earlier? I said maybe backdash duck will work against this. Comes out a little fast though. You gotta be on point. You gotta be on point. You gotta be looking for the down 2 there. You can still do it though. If you backdash, the up forward 4 whiffs. If you backdash duck, then down 2 gets blocked. Now the question is, what about that, right? Now you're +6. But if they're doing that, then again, like I said, just sidestep it and launch them. Feels good, right? Feels great to launch that ass. Anyways, though, my point is that there's always an answer. You just got to spend the time in training mode. If you understand blocking, if you understand ducking, if you understand fuzzy guarding, if you understand sidestepping, if you understand how to put all of those things together, if you go into training mode, you can utilize that information to figure out what your opponent is doing and then beating it, right? Obviously, it's very easy to say, yeah, just figure it out and, you know, do it every single time now. That's where the hard part comes in. That's where, you know, every player struggles. Because it's one thing to know what to do, but it's another thing to actually be able to like implement it and to be able to execute it in grand finals, last round, last match at Evo. You know what I mean? That's really hard to do. It's probably easier to do it when you're at your house playing online in your underwear or whatever. But when you're at a tournament and you know there's like $50,000 on the line, it's a lot harder to do it. There's a little bit more pressure there. I'm not sure though. Maybe I don't know. I've never been in that situation, so I can't speak on it, but. Yeah, there you go. Hopefully, you know, players that keep asking stuff like, what should I focus on in Tekken? I'm new to Tekken. What should I focus on? Here's your answer. These things. Blocking and punishing, ducking strings, fuzzy guarding, and learning how to sidestep and implementing or putting all of those things together. Don't worry about doing Taunt Jet Upper. Don't worry about doing electrics. Don't worry about doing any of that kind of stuff, right? Don't worry about doing Kazuya counter hit down forward 2 into perfect electric Wind God Fist. That shit's not going to get you anywhere. If you can master this kind of stuff, then it doesn't matter, right? If you can duck every string that your opponent has, if you can fuzzy guard every string, if you can block punish every string that your opponent has, you will win every match. You don't have to press a button, only to punish. That's all you need to do. But obviously, if that was all you needed to do, then the game would be kind of boring. And if you were a robot, for example, right? I can do whatever I want. He's going to block everything. Now imagine if I'm playing against an opponent who's doing this to me. Just blocking everything. Right? There's no way I can get through. And let's say, just for the hell of it, he's going to tech every throw too. How do I deal with this? How do I beat him? Right? He's blocking everything. I can't mix him up. What do I do? Snake Edge, it doesn't work. What do I do? Right? What do I do? Maybe like taunt something if I can get it. Really? I can't get it? What about this? There. That's the only thing I can do, right? That or like man, my execution is off today, huh? There we go. Or Taunt Jet Upper, which I guess I'll try it a little bit. Alright, anyways, I'm not going to get into the vortex of that. Because like I just said, that's not important. Don't worry about that shit. When you need to worry about that is when you've learned all the other stuff. Because then your opponent's going to start blocking everything. That's when you need to start learning things like taunts. Right? Taunt Jet Upper. It's good to know at the wall or whatever. Like taunt back forward into mock, Jet Upper, mock kick, all of that kind of stuff. But like, don't worry about that. Don't worry about doing Taunt Jet Upper. Don't worry about doing electrics. Don't worry about any of that shit. Worry about how to move, how to block punish, and just basically how to be defensive, because the best offense is a good defense. If you can block everything and make everything whiff, your opponent's never going to hit you. Therefore, all you need to do is jab them, right? Your opponent will whiff a move, you jab them, and then you block everything else and you win. Because time will run out and you will have the life lead. It's a lame way to play, but it works, right? And it's effective. So anyways, that's my spiel. This video ran on for a little bit longer than I expected, but sidestepping and, you know, putting all of these things together is a really, really deep subject. And I remember when I first figured this out, I watched a video from JDCR. It was a sequence of videos that he has on his YouTube channel where he's talking about sidestepping and guarding and all that stuff. And I was like, holy shit. You mean to tell me that there's like a million different answers to specific situations, and these situations are constantly evolving and constantly changing based on the players, and something as simple as doing a move and dashing forward versus doing a move and doing another move, or doing a move and sidestepping, or doing a move and blocking, all of these lead to a completely different branch of situations that affect the match. And to me, that's something that's super cool, and that's something that makes me want to learn this game and actually get better at it. Even though I'm like I said, I'm trash, but at the very least, I know what the game is about, I guess you could say. And even though I can't implement it, hopefully one day I'll be able to implement it as well, or I'll be able to implement it, and you know, I'll actually be able to play the game at a high level. So I made these videos so that if anybody out there is struggling, you know, to figure out what they should be practicing, or they just don't understand Tekken, they just think it's all about mashing in 50-50s and blocking low or blocking mid or whatever. Now you know, right, just how deep the hole goes. It's like you drop a pebble down a hole and you wait for the sound to see how deep it is, but you never hear that sound. That's what it felt like when I figured this stuff out. So if anybody out there is like super good at this game, maybe, I don't know, if you're like JDCR or something or whatever, and you watch this video and you're like, this guy, he's got some points, but some other stuff that he said is wrong, feel free to let me know, so that way I can make the corrections. Because at the end of the day, I'm doing these videos to try and help other people, help other beginners like myself, people that might have come from another game or whatever, so that they can pick this game up and see that it's really fun and see that it's really deep and there's a lot to be learned here. But anyways, I'm going to stop talking here because I've been talking for like 40 minutes or something. Yeah, go ahead and leave a comment if you liked it. Like the video if you liked it. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Twitch. I stream Tekken sometimes. Sometimes I don't. Don't ask me to stream Tekken, because if I don't feel like streaming it, I won't stream it. Don't ask me to play online. Don't ask any streamer to play online if you're in training mode, because all this stuff that I just talked about for 40 minutes, they're still learning this, right? These top players are still learning this, and they're still discovering new stuff. So stop being a bitch. Stop telling people, play online, hurry up and play online. I don't want to watch you get fucked up. What's the point in going online if you still don't understand a lot of this stuff? Yeah, playing online is fun, and yeah, you should play online, because training mode is hella fun, right? But like, there's only so much fun to be had when you're playing against a dummy, right? Even if I set the opponent to like ultra hard, right? It's still like, this isn't that fun, right? Like I could do this for only so long, and he just punished me there. That was nice. But anyways, You know, that's fun for only so long, right? Going online and playing ranked and ranking up and getting ranked down or getting demoted and all that stuff, that's fun. Online lag sucks, but whatever. But more importantly than that, sitting in training mode and after you lose, instead of getting mad and throwing your stick or saying this character's cheap because Jack is in every top 8 or whatever, go into training mode, watch these matches, see what these people are doing, and ask yourself, why are they doing this? Right? Why is Saints Jack so good? Why did JDCR lose to Neroma? Why is Nia God at Brian? All of these types of different questions, right? But yeah, like I said, I'm going to stop talking now because I said that like 6 minutes ago and I still haven't stopped because I'm still talking about Tekken. But anyways, yeah, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, that's going to be it.